Hi everyone, welcome to Chef Shelly's Kitchen. Boy, do we have a sweet tangy treat for you today. We are going to make lemon bars, and the beautiful thing about it is that if you are on keto, I will give you instructions for how to make them keto. So these will be keto lemon bars. If you're not doing keto, you can just use some of the products that I'll substitute. These have become a favorite, I'm going to say my neighborhood, because several of my neighbors, some who are on keto, some who are not, they absolutely love these. And I love them too. It's just a nice, refreshing treat. So we're going to, we've got to make the crust, and then we also have to make the filling. And in this particular recipe, we're actually going to bake the crust. And so there's going to be some nuances that I'll tell you about in terms of baking it. One, you could use it with parchment paper or not. I would say if you're using a metal container, you want to use parchment paper as your base in your pan. I like using my glass dish like this, size like this, and I just lightly greased it with canola oil, the canola spray, or you can use olive oil spray, whatever. Just something to make it non-stick. So so we'll kind of talk through that. Now, this is one of those recipes, it's going to maybe seem a little awkward, but we're going to actually make the filling first, and we're going to put it aside, and then we will make the crust. We're going to put the crust in the oven, and then once this is done, it'll be ready for us to just simply pour the ingredients in. So that's kind of how we're going to go about this. So to get started, let me tell you a little about the ingredients for the filling. I have eggs, I have almond flour, I have freshly squeezed lemon, and again, whatever your sweetener, this is erythritol, this is sugar alcohol, so that's what I'm using. And if you don't want to use that, you can use regular sugar. If you don't want to use almond, you can use all-purpose flour. So again, look in the comment section, it'll give you all the specifics. The other thing we need for the filling is we need to make sure we zest the lemon. So I left one lemon, I juiced all the other ones, and this is all fresh. What I can tell you too is if you find it's so hard to gauge how many lemons will give you a certain amount, this recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of lemon juice. So you know what, I have this as my standby. So if you don't have it, or some recipes I've even seen online, if you they just use this instead of freshly squeezed, but I prefer starting with that and adding. Now I am going to tell you, oftentimes people again ask me about my inspiration. So my boss's boss, Lisa, is my inspiration behind this. So this is kind of a slightly modified version of the recipe that she used, but she was the first person that told me about keto lemon bars, and I thought, oh my God, I've got to try it. So since I've prepped everything else, we just need to have the zest, so I saved this one. Remember, if you haven't seen this in some of my other episodes, this is one of my favorite zesters. If you're interested in getting it, there's a link in my comment section, so just go down below and you'll see it. The thing I love about this zester is that it has a cap on it, and so all of the zest just is right there. So we're going to just zest one whole lemon, and you're going to see how easy it is. You know how this can be kind of messy when you're zesting, but this has become just one of my all-time favorite cooking tools. All right, so we've completely zested this, and I'm going to get the bottom as well. And I wanted to do this because I still need the lemon juice for this. So we've got our zest here, which we're going to squeeze inside. I need to get the juice from this one. And so let's go on and let's put the knife out of the way. Don't want any accidents or hazards. And we're going to just juice this last lemon. And as I said, we'll see just how much remains. This will have been 4 lemons. So again, I just haven't found like the perfect number because, you know, the amount of juice you get out of one you know, I love my little tool here too. I love that. So gonna just look at the measurements here, and it looks like we're going to still be short just a tad. So as I said, this is where you pull out your handy dandy lemon juice and you fill it. Again, this is it calls for 3/4 of a cup. The thing I love about this is that it doesn't taste too sweet, and the lemon juice just really comes out. Okay, so we've got our 3/4 of a cup. Now what I'm gonna do is, let's get this out of the way. We're going to then start mixing, okay? So we're gonna go on, and I'm gonna put the eggs in first, and let's go on and mix those up. And honestly, it doesn't matter what you add next. So you can just put it kind of in. I like putting in kind of the liquids, mix all the liquids first, and then add, of course, then the solid. So let's then put in our sweetener and our almond flour. Now, the other thing, and I did forget to get this out, so no worries. I'm gonna just stay right there. I forgot to get, I absolutely need my sifter. So whenever I use almond flour, one of the secrets is to definitely use your sifter, okay? Because you don't want it to, almond flour can be thick. Remember, it's made from almonds, and so you do want to use that. So I just use that to sift it, make sure. And we're gonna keep this out because I've got to sift some more over here. All right, so now that I have that, I'm gonna mix this up nicely, like so. And it is still gonna be liquidy, okay? And you want that. It's not supposed to be thick. It's going to form once we put it back in the oven. So we're gonna bake the crust first, then we're gonna put this on top of it after the crust forms. It's gonna be more like a gelatin, a thick gelatin kind of filling. All right, so let's put this here out of the way now that we've got this. And let's not forget our zest. Okay, I've been talking all about my zester, and then forget the zesting. Don't want to do that. And like I said, this is something I found online. I was just looking for zesters, and I thought I need a really good zester, and this one showed up, and I'm in love with it. All right, so got that going. Now let's put this aside, like so. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to make our filling, or our shell, okay? The crust, in other words. So let's go on and start actually with the almond flour, because we have so much of that. And let's make sure we're sifting it. As I said, always sift almond flour. That kind of helps it through a little bit. So, because you want, it's the consistency that you're after. Some people even sift it a second go around. For most recipes, I don't find that to be necessary. Again, it's kind of up to you. But again, so you're gonna have it form kind of like that. So that's why you wanna make sure it is sifted through nicely. Let's try it a little more. And we're gonna have to do that a little bit more. So I know this is especially helpful for people who have decided they're gonna get back on their diets and lose weight, so that's awesome. All right, so we've got that in there. I'm gonna add to that my sweetener, okay? And I like sifting that as well. Okay, now we're done with the sifter. To that, I'm going to add sea salt. I'm going to add vanilla. And I also have 1 egg that we're gonna add as well. So what I'm going to do is just go on and beat this a little bit. like so. And a lot of times what I'll do, although I'm going to put this in here, that's actually my coconut oil. So I'm going to mix these solids a little bit. Now, one little trick or thing to think about when picking out your pan, this is really going to be critical. If you like a thicker crust, kind of like, I like it half and half, you know, then you're probably going to do like a little smaller dish. Again, nothing smaller than this. Or if you've got like a 9x9, 7x10, something like that, any of those, that would do. But again, the longer it is, the thinner the crust is going to be. So let's add our egg to that. And then the last thing we're going to add is, this is melted coconut oil. What I would say is melt what you need and then measure it out, okay? Because then it may be a lot less and you need to add some more. So I usually add a little bit more than I need, and you can always pour it back in the container. So nothing's lost there. All right, so basically this dough is going to be kind of crumbly. Kind of mixing it together here, you can kind of see it's a little crumbly. I want to make sure everything is mixed really well. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to, it should be a little sticky, okay? Just a little sticky. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get this out of the way. And let's put our dish over here. Now, after it's mixed really well, then what you want to do is pour it in the dish, and you're going to spread it out. Now, this is where you're likely going to have to use your hands, so you have to get a little dirty, make sure your nails and all of that are clean. Okay. And I know some people often talk about, ooh, you're cooking with your ring on. And I do. I never actually take my ring off, to be honest with you. But I'm doing water aerobics these days, and my ring feels like it's going to come off. So I don't want that. All right, so basically you're kind of pressing it down. Now, if you want it to go more on the sides, again, press it down like so, and now you have kind of crust for the side. It's all about your preference, okay? I like a little bit on the side, so I like to press it down a little bit like so. Okay, so as I said, you do need to use your fingers with this. You can see how I'm working it. My dad would say, work it, girl. Gotta work it. Okay, so that's our crust. Let me get a view of this for you. You can see it's kind of sticking to the sides like that. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven until it comes out kind of a golden brown. And how long you keep it in the oven is really going to depend upon your oven and the dish size that you use. So what I'm going to do, for me, it takes about 30 minutes for this dish to get the way it needs to be. I will show you what it should look like so you can keep an eye on it. What I would suggest is you set your baking timer, your oven at 350 and your timer at like 20 minutes. Check it at 20 minutes. If it's not kind of that golden brown, if it's not fully cooked, then you need to keep it in longer, okay? And just kind of keep a check on it. All right, so we're gonna put it in the oven. When it's done, then we'll come back and show you. Okay, we're back. So this took just about 32 minutes thereabout. So it is warm, and we want to put the filling in it while it's warm. This will also help it soak down into the filling. But I wanted you to get a picture of kind of the color, okay? So you can see it's this nice golden brown, and you know, it's a good good texture, right? So you can see it's done, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the filling, and what you want to do, since it's been sitting there for 30 minutes thereabout, is make sure you stir it. You've got everything mixed nicely together. And we're literally just going to pour this in the middle of this baked crust. And you'll see the crust. It comes just above the crust. Again, it's all about your preference. If you would like it to just cover the top, then, you know, push down the sides, okay? So I'm not going to be able to show this to you because now it's warm. It's already set in. You're not really going to be able to see that. But again, you saw the crust. You just pour it on top, okay? So what we're going to do now is it goes back in the oven. And we're going to keep it in the oven for about 15 to 18 minutes. Here again, make sure, I'm going to show you the consistency it should have once it comes out. But just about 15, 18 minutes, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I had this in the oven for just about 20 minutes. Again, it's always going to depend upon your oven. Now here's a tricky part because I want you to see the texture. And so it's obviously going to be leaning. Now I'm not ready to cut this. You really need to let this cool off for about 20-25 minutes. What I normally do after I've taken it out of the oven like this, I put it in a refrigerator. I put it on like a, you could use a pot warmer or something like that, and I just sit it on it while it's hot and let it cool. And so we're going to do that. I'm going to just show you the consistency. We're going to put it in the refrigerator, let it cool. And then the last step, once it gets out of the refrigerator, is just sprinkling some powdered sugar on it, and then it's ready to eat. So again, just going to try as best as I can to try to show you this, realizing, I mean, it's not obviously going to be moving because it's got that nice consistency to it, okay? So with that, let's put it in the refrigerator. Let's let it cool down for about, I'm going to do 25 minutes, and then I'm going to come back, put some powdered sweetener on the top, and then we're going to cut a piece, okay? All right. So I've had this in the refrigerator for just about 25 minutes. I can tell on the bottom it's still a little warm, but it's pretty much held together. So you can kind of see how delicious it looks. And of course, as it settles, it does crack a little bit. The way we're going to finish this off is we're going to put some powdered sweetener on top. I say powdered sweetener because you might do powdered sugar, or you might do a powdered sugar alcohol like monk fruit or any of the others, Swerve. So you can get actually powdered sugar alcohols. You can buy it as a powder, but the other thing is you can put it in your Vitamix, which is what I do, just the regular granular, and then I make my own powder. So basically I'm just going to put some of this into my sifter, and I'm just going to just nicely sift it on top. And I'm just going to keep doing it till I can coat, and I just kind of put it on, put a little bit kind of gently so it doesn't all, you know, fall out. And you just put a nice little amount on the top. I mean, it's just a nice decoration, but it's also adds a nice little sweetness. The thing I like about this particular recipe is that it really is not too sweet. I mean, some desserts are too sweet. I like tasting the real flavor. So these are lemon bars. You're gonna taste the lemon, especially if you use the real lemons. So this is basically how it's going to look. Again, if you want, what I did was I left some of the crust that formed on top. What you can also do is make sure it's lower, and so then the top is just the filling. It's totally up to you. It's whatever your preference is. All I can tell you is that it's still going to be good whichever way you go. So I'm going to just kind of cut a little piece here just so that you can get a sense for what it looks like when it comes out. Just kind of the consistency, and of course mine's going to crumble just a little bit. But I want you to get a sense for just kind of how it looks. As I mentioned, It has, you know, little filling to it. Don't expect it to be cake-like. It's almost like a gelatin or a hard pudding is what I would say. So let's take a little bite. This is like perfection. Just the right amount of sweetness. I can really taste the lemony. It's light. This is really good. This is really good. So let me take another bite before I say anything else. There you have it. Lemon bars. Again, crust up if you want. If not, you can just have the lemony filling on top. It's totally delicious. Thank you again for tuning in as always. The specific ingredients and measurements are in the comment section. There are also a list of some of the items that I talked about. The Vitamix, that wonderful zester. So you can click on the link and purchase it if that's something you're interested in. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, certainly just click on the little picture and subscribe. I come out with a video every 2 weeks, so not too much. And we have so many videos out there. There are actually, by the taping of this, it's over 100. So remember, my theme is simple, delicious, and healthier alternatives or ways to cook things, especially for people on the go. Thanks again. Tune in. Bye-bye.